on Fascinating Frontiers, episode 128. It's July 11th, 2026. The universe has been busy. Let's get into it. Japan just completed the first test flight of an experimental reusable rocket, landing it safely after launch. Japan's space agency launched and landed its RV-X experimental vehicle in the first test of reusable technology. The flight lasted only seconds, but proved the basic landing sequence works. Engineers aim to reuse first stages repeatedly to compete with lower-cost operators. The prototype uses a hybrid engine design that allows controlled descent. JAXA conducted the test on Saturday to achieve technology key to cutting launch costs in a market dominated by SpaceX. Next, the team plans higher altitude tests to refine guidance software. Japan's successful landing of the RV-X prototype marks a concrete step toward routine first-stage reuse. The short flight proved the guidance and landing legs can survive the return through the atmosphere. Engineers will now examine how the hybrid engine performs after multiple restarts. The next series of tests will push the vehicle to higher altitudes and longer coast phases. How high will the follow-on flights need to climb before the design is considered flight-ready for orbital missions? Now, on a completely different note, NASA released a planning document for future commercial space stations. The document mixes cost-plus requirements with firm fixed-price clauses for commercial space stations. Industry observers note the hybrid structure creates tension between flexibility and accountability. NASA intends the stations to succeed the International Space Station after 2030. The agency has not yet selected operators for the initial commercial modules. The planning document blends all the requirements, deliverables, and clauses of a cost-plus contract into a firm fixed-price framework. Shifting focus, Parabolis completed ground tests of a propulsion system sized for small satellites. The Space Force is funding development to give CubeSats independent orbit changes. The hybrid engine combines solid fuel with liquid oxidizer for restart capability. Engineers report stable burns across multiple throttle settings. The technology targets maneuverability for CubeSats in support of Space Force objectives. Flight demonstrations are scheduled for later this year. On another front, standard digital cameras are being qualified as science instruments for the upcoming Artemis II lunar flight. Crew members will capture high-resolution images of Earth and the Moon during the mission. The approach reduces development costs while still meeting radiation and vacuum requirements. Data from these cameras will supplement official mission imagery. Calibration tests are already underway at Johnson Space Center. Next up, Reflect Orbital received permission to launch a single demonstration satellite. The spacecraft will attempt to redirect sunlight towards selected ground targets at night. Astronomers have raised concerns about increased sky brightness during observations. The company must still secure launch and orbital slot approvals. A second approval round will be needed before any constellation expansion. The Federal Communications Commission granted the approval despite widespread criticism from the astronomy community. Turning to a different discovery, the central black hole in a nearby galaxy is producing an unusual radio flare never seen before in similar systems. Its growth rate matches expectations for black holes in the early universe. Radio observations revealed jets interacting with surrounding gas on short timescales. The galaxy lies close enough for detailed follow-up with current telescopes. Researchers plan multi-wavelength campaigns to track changes in the accretion flow. This object offers a rare local window into processes that shape the first supermassive black holes. In other news, historical catalogs from Ptolemy and Al-Sufi listed the star Theta Eridani among the brightest in the sky. Modern measurements show it is now far fainter than those rankings imply. Astronomers attribute the change to intrinsic stellar evolution rather than observational error. The star is a binary system whose combined light once reached higher luminosity. Long-term monitoring continues to refine the evolutionary timeline. The discrepancy spans more than 2,000 years of recorded observations. If every star in the night sky were fixed in brightness, ancient catalogs would match modern lists exactly. Theta Eridani shows that assumption fails. 2,000 years ago, the star ranked among the 13 brightest visible to the naked eye. Today, it sits well down the list. The change happened because the two stars in this binary system evolved at slightly different rates, shifting their combined output over centuries. A single human lifetime is too short to notice the drop, yet the historical record captures it clearly. We still do not know the exact masses of the two components or the precise moment their combined light began to fade. That missing detail keeps the system on observing lists at professional telescopes. Moving along, the Marseille Observatory doorkeeper recorded comet C/1801N1 in 1801. Directors had trained Pons in observational techniques after noticing his talent. He went on to discover 37 comets, still the record for visual discoveries. The initial find came during routine sweeps of the evening sky. His logs remain valuable for orbit reconstructions of long-period comets. Pons began his career in 1789 as a concierge at the observatory. In a separate event, Saturn's 10th magnitude moon crossed directly above the planet's north pole this morning. Observers with video equipment recorded the moon's shadow moving across the northern rings. The event repeats roughly every 2.7 days as Dione orbits. High-resolution imaging can capture fine details in the shadow's edge. The next similar alignment occurs in early August. Elsewhere, the Seattle Museum will present research on nuclear electric systems for future Mars missions. Speakers will discuss power levels needed for crewed round-trip trajectories. The event highlights ongoing work at several NASA centers on reactor designs. Attendance is open to the public with registration required. Materials from the presentation will be archived online afterward. The talk focuses on propulsion concepts that could shorten travel times to the red planet. On the imaging side, over 700 individual exposures were stacked to reveal the barred spiral structure of the southern pinwheel galaxy. A convolutional neural network separated stars from the galaxy for separate processing. Color calibration matched stars to the Gaia catalog for accurate hues. The galaxy lies roughly 15 million light-years away. The final image combines RGB, hydrogen alpha, and foreground data. The southern pinwheel is Messier 83, a barred spiral similar in structure to the Milky Way. In the morning sky, the Moon, Mars, and Uranus formed a tight grouping visible before dawn. Unedited images show the planets near the Moon's limb. The alignment is a line-of-sight effect rather than a true orbital grouping. Observers across mid-northern latitudes could capture the scene with modest equipment. Similar configurations recur on monthly cycles. Shifting scenes, multiple tracked exposures captured the Cygnus constellation above Lake Limides. RGB and hydrogen alpha frames were combined to highlight nebulosity. The foreground required separate processing to balance star and landscape brightness. The site offers dark skies with dramatic alpine reflections. The photographer used a Tamron 17 to 35 mm lens at f2.8 on a Canon 6D. The image blends 3 hours of RGB data with additional hydrogen alpha frames. Finally, a European design targets heavy lift capability comparable to current super heavy vehicles. Engineers emphasize rapid turnaround and reduced production costs. The vehicle would use Methalox engines and vertical landing legs. Development timelines remain tied to European Space Agency funding decisions. Wind tunnel tests of the booster shape are already scheduled. The concept positions Europe to challenge existing dominance in reusable heavy lift systems. Before we go, keep an eye on the next round of approvals needed for any expansion of sun-reflecting satellite concepts. That's Fascinating Frontiers for today. If you enjoyed this, a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify really helps new listeners find the show. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Thanks for exploring with me, and I'll see you next time. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nara Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Models and Agents for Beginners. Artificial Intelligence Explained Simply for Beginners and Curious Teens. Find every show free at neuronetwork.com. The age of AI puts real builders on the phone with an AI host. Apply at neuronetwork.com/age-of-AI apply. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.
Drifting softly through